Welcome back to another episode of Gritty Iron Gang. What we got for you today is a recap of two Monday Night Football games before we get to our Week 4 picks. The first of which being Philadelphia. They were on the road facing Tampa Bay, and they kind of continued that Week 3 trend of taking care of business. I think this is kind of more realistic of how we're going to see both these teams for the rest of the season. Tampa Bay got off to a hot start, 2-0. I think they're more of a middle of the pack team, and Philadelphia obviously 3-0. We expect them to be one of the more dominant teams in the NFC. I expect more games like this when Philly plays teams like Tampa Bay. What'd you think of this game on Monday night?
I think they went out and did what they're supposed to do. Honestly, I think the past two games, especially the ground game, looks unstoppable at this point. Um,
They do have the most unstoppable play in the league.
I mean, yeah, especially at the goal line with Jalen. I mean, in the best O line, how do you stop that? I mean, I don't think you can have a defensive formation that can actually go out there and stop that at any point. That's pretty successful anytime they go out there and put that and they know what it's the same formation every time. They it's coming. So, but even though they won and they won how they were supposed to, by a 14 score game, probably seemed a little bit more than that. But still, to me, especially in the passing game and with Jalen, there's just something that is kind of like, I'm not going to put it in the Bengals category with how off it feels, but something feels a little off with the Philadelphia Eagles so far to start the season. They just don't have, it doesn't seem like they have that same firepower on offense. Granted, they've had an outstanding run game the past two games, but there's just something, I think there's a disconnect kind of. I know AJ and Jalen might be boys or whatever, but there's kind of that disconnect there. You saw it in the Vikings game where AJ is pissed off on the sidelines, and he's a guy that expects the ball damn near every throw. But that's just unrealistic with how many playmakers they have on offense out in Philadelphia. But for me, it's just something, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something feels a little bit off there that's not there that was last year. So I still expect them to be a front runner contender in the NFC, but it's not as in surefire fashion as it was last year. In my opinion, I think they look very beatable on any given Sunday so far. So that's my kind of takeaway on everything. I just don't. Now it's 3 games into the season. Obviously, that can change and change for the better for them. But it's just right now, it just doesn't seem like it's the same Eagles team as last year. And I feel like sometimes you get that kind of, not necessarily a hangover, but you kind of run it back with the same squad and you just don't look the same the next year, especially when you go to the Super Bowl and had that great of a year. But it just seems like, Jalen might be going through some sort of, I know he's not a sophomore or whatever, second year, because that was last year, but kind of like a 2-year, second year slump since you became relevant. But I don't, like I said, I don't know exactly what it is or can't put my finger on it really, but it just, something's a little off there where it's just and it could be the new OC, and along, obviously their defense is a new defensive coordinator as well. So sometimes that plays a role in it, but I don't know. I still want to see a little bit more out of Philly going forward to really have my hopes up like it was last year for them going into the playoffs. So that's kind of my takeaway on that game.
Yeah, every 3-0 isn't the same, and even though they are undefeated, it doesn't look like they're as dominant as San Francisco or comparing themselves to themselves last year. I would say the 2022 Philly team, I would take over this 2023 Philly team as it stands right now, and even Miami. I mean, we know what they did last week, so all teams are 3-0, and Philly does look like the weakest link of the three, but I mean, at the end of the day, you got to get the W, so, and that's the jobs, and they're doing that.
It don't matter how it looks, you just got to get the W.
You did mention Cincinnati. They also played Monday night. Got back on track a little bit. Took on the Los Angeles Rams at home. Got a 16-19 victory. Joe Burrow had an interception, so he struggled a little bit with that calf injury that you've been talking about. Matt Stafford threw 2 picks. That was really kind of the difference in this game. Although Joe Burrow didn't throw a touchdown, he did get on track with Jamar Chase again. They had a big connection. I think 12 catches for over $140 or something like that. So Cincinnati in that aspect is probably feeling really good. But when you compare this offense to how it looked last year, similar to Philly, it's not feeling right. And, probably a little bit more trouble in Cincinnati than we feel like there is in Philly right now.
Oh, for sure. I think like I said, that calf injury is the biggest thing that's going on with this Bengals team right now. Because you know, like I said before, if it's that right calf, so that's where he's supposed to generate his power from when he's throwing the ball. And right now, it just seeming very flat-footed in the pocket and kind of using more of his hips and everything. And that takes a lot of zip off the ball, and especially and even accuracy when you think about it. So they're not a very prolific offense right now, and it doesn't. I've been saying it. I just don't think this is one of those up years for the Bengals. I think they're taking a step back this year, and this is kind of what we're going to see throughout the season, especially if Burrow keeps playing with this injury. Because even if he's playing and it's healing at a very slow pace compared to if he were to take time off and heal it up. So it's just going to be one of those year-long struggles, I think, for the Bengals. And then, even though it's not the same Bengals team, for LA to come out and still be a team that we're not expecting great things from and keep it a 16-19 score game, there's some encouraging signs with this Rams team, I think, going forward, that they could possibly sneak into the playoffs somehow if they keep it going and get cut back and everything else, because they got that new rookie receiver and Puka. And I mean, there's encouraging things with this Rams team that I just don't think that they should be, looked at as getting lucky the past 3 weeks. I think, yeah, they're 1-2 now, obviously, which isn't that great, but they're in these games at the very end still. So there is encouraging signs. It's not like they're getting blown out or whatever. They put a number on Seattle the first game. They made it close with San Fran. They kept it close with Cincy. And look, all three of those teams aren't garbage teams. So you got to give the Rams some respect.
Yeah, in that aspect, you do. Those are three playoff caliber teams, but I don't see. I mean, you know me. I don't see the Rams going that far. A couple more wins on the season before,
I'm
I
just
think
just saying,
I just think that's the Rams' future this year.
based off of how the NFC landscape is looking right now, it wouldn't surprise me if they were able to grab a last spot in the wild card round. So I mean, but like I said, it's a long season. But I'm just saying, based off of what you're seeing out of teams like the fucking Vikings and the NFC compared to the AFC is just completely open after those 2-3 spots. So I mean, anything can happen on the back end. I'm just saying, with the Rams right now, we got to kind of almost walk back on the preseason predictions, because they're definitely not, they're Arizona's obviously been surprising to start the season as well as the Rams, but the Rams are definitely a better team than the Cardinals, in my opinion.
Well, I will agree with that. That's where I draw the line, though. Before we get into these Week 4 picks, would you like to inform the people how Week 3 went for us?
Yeah, so you were able to come away with the win this past week at a 11-5 clip. I was one game behind at 10-6, so that puts you. I don't know the full on records, but that would put you one game above me on the season for picks. So yeah, I got to look to bounce back this week somehow.
Hey, I would love to keep it rolling, but I looked at this slate of games. They're tough to call.
It's gonna be tough, yeah.
Outside of one or two games, it can go either way. Starting those games Thursday night, we have NFC North rivals facing off against each other. The Detroit Lions at 2-1 on the road facing Green Bay and Lambeau, also at 2-1. This is going to be a strength on strength battle. Detroit's offense versus Green Bay's defense. Green Bay's defense, they started off slow last week, but they did hold up towards the end of the game, and they allowed Jordan Love to make that comeback. So, big win for Green Bay. I know they're coming off a big momentum on the comeback win against New Orleans. Detroit, they bounced back last week as well after their loss in Week 2. I do think Detroit is the better team overall. Their defense has showed some signs of improvement, vast signs from last year. Green Bay, although they are starting a little slow, I think that offense is going to be a problem. Jordan Love did lead that comeback drive, but I think that will be the difference in this game, and I got Detroit on the road.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I got, with my pick at least, I got Detroit winning this game, but and that's based on, I don't know, because it's a short week. Obviously, I don't know if Green Bay is going to be without those same five starters as last time. I assume a couple or a few of them will be out. Maybe not all 5, but so you're already
Washington will be back.
battling. You're battling back from already being down that many against a solid Detroit team. But I will say, if Green Bay does somehow pull this game off, then I'll start to look at Jordan Love in a different light than I have been. Because I think that will tell a lot. I think he'll have a lot to do with them winning this game if they do. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got 2-1 NFC North teams. This is a battle for first place, sole possession. So this is going to be a black and or blue collar type game, just smash mouth football. I have a little bit more belief in the Detroit offense compared to the Green Bay offense right now. And on paper, you would say Green Bay is probably better on defense. But I think what the play has told us through 3 games is Detroit has kind of got the upper hand. But, what I will say, though, about last week's Green Bay game, they go down 17-0. And I think there was I don't know the dude's name. I think he wears number 11. No, or number 11 or something like that. But he's a rookie receiver. He had 3 drop passes throughout the game. And right then and there, if he has 3 drop passes and they still have A-Rod, that dude's he's going to take a sack before he throws that ball again to that player. And
Yeah.
Jordan Love, what he did was he threw it to the open man at the end of the game. There was that longer diving catch pass that rookie secured, to set him up for the win. And Rodgers doesn't do that with that player in that scenario. So you got to give credit to Love, where he's got a different mindset over Rodgers of he's going to always give his open receivers chances, unlike Rodgers, where if you've already screwed him over a couple of times in the game, he ain't looking your way again. So that's what I think benefits this Green Bay team going forward is they don't have that, veteran all-star quarterback who is set in his ways and, demands like greatness from his teammates. So, they probably, if they're in the same situation with Rodgers, they might win a different way, but they don't win in that way that they won with Jordan Love.
I hear you. And like we've been saying all year, around week 3, week 4, week 5 is when we really find out who these teams are. Going further down the road here about your Jordan Love point specifically. If he wins this game, it's going to tell us a lot about him because it's either going to be a close game, low scoring game, where he was able to muster up a big drive, or it's going to be a high scoring game where he was able to outduel Jared Goff in that high power offense. So if that is the case, I think Green Bay is in good hands and they're going to be a problem this year.
For sure. I agree.
Next game, Baltimore at 2-1 on the road at Cleveland 2-1. We have some problems ahead of us. We do have, Tyler Linderbaum, our starting center, Ronnie Stanley, our starting left tackle. They were back in practice. Our starting safety, Marcus Williams, back in practice. Kyle Hamilton did miss practice. So, we're still dealing with a lot of injuries to key players. I don't know if these O-linemen are going to play this week, but if there is ever a week that we needed them, I hope these guys can suit up because Myles Garrett, he's in that DPOY conversation every year, and he has been for these past 3 years specifically. He's a beast. He's going to continue to be a beast, and we're going to have to find an answer for him in that defense. Our defense, we're going to have to try and find an answer for Deshaun Watson. I think this Cleveland offense is kind of built for the run, the play action. We know Deshaun Watson likes to, air it out, kind of go back to that college Clemson-style offense. We're going to see what this Cleveland offense shifts to with the injury of Nick Chubb. They seem like they found a really nice replacement in Ford, but they paid Watson that money. I think they might, give him the keys and say, let's see what you can do this year. However, for my pick on this game, sucks. We needed that one last week because I don't think we're going to get this one.
So you got the Browns.
I have the Cleveland Browns, yes, if you need me to say it out loud, yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought you were going with the Ravens. That's why I kind of snuck this Browns pick in here, trying to get a one up here. But I'm sticking with the Browns, even though I do think Baltimore is more than capable of beating them. It's just going to have to be. I think it's going to have to be a very clean game from Baltimore to come out with a W. No mental mistakes, no dumb penalties. You can't have Lamar turning the ball over. So, and you're gonna have to that defense will have to create turnovers for make Deshaun make some poor throws as well. But I think you're gonna see a little bit more of probably Kareem Hunt this game, along with Ford, which I think that actually bodes well with having a 1-2 punch like that, just kind of like how Chubb and Hunt have been the past few years. But yeah, I just the way this boils down to just how good this Browns defense has been, and so I think they're going to be ready to play and kind of they're going to try to force Lamar into some mistakes. Not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens because you don't just got Myles
It
Garrett to
will.
worry about anymore. You got Zadarius Smith over on the other side as well. So, and
Yeah.
both of them are going to get up for this division game and be ready to go. So that's kind of the scary part. But yeah, I got the Browns in this one.
No need for a rebuttal. Minnesota at 0-3 on the road at Carolina 0-3. You know, this is kind of another one of those strength on strength games. I think Kirk Cousins is up top 2 in the league in passing. JJ's up there. Hawkinson is up there in receiving. So your strength is obviously your offense. Your defense is the reason you're losing this game. In addition, with those turnovers from your offense. However, though, Carolina's strength obviously their defense. Bryce Young, I don't know if he'll be ready for this game, but Andy Dalton did look good at quarterback for Carolina in Week 3. You're not going 0-4, bro. Don't worry. I got the Vikings in this one.
No, we're not going 0-4. And the whole tank for Caleb talk has got to stop because it's not going to happen. It's just even if we wanted to, this roster is too talented to try and tank. You're not you're not going to have professional athletes getting paid top dollar to go out there and not do what they do. It's just especially when you got guys like JJ who all he cares about winning. Dude, this team could be 0-16 right now in their last game, and he ain't going out like that. So, you know, we ain't going 0-17. It's just not happening. And like I said before the show, I look at the schedule for the Vikings, and yeah, there's tough parts to it, but it's not a long shot for this team to end up going 10-7 still. It's just not. I mean, you know, and the way the NFC is, the state the NFC is in right now, it bodes well for the Vikings starting 0-3 in a certain season like this. So I'm not gonna sit as much as I can shit on the Vikings all day long after a bad loss. It's just I don't expect us to go to Carolina and lay another egg. I think this is the game where we kind of get the turnover stuff cleaned up. We look more like the Vikings from last year, putting up points. It's just got to be. We got to have a good game from the defense. That will be the more encouraging sign is if we can have a all around good game from the defense. And I did see that Bryce Young practiced today, so barring a major setback this week, I expect him to go. Which to me, honestly, I feel more comfortable playing a young Bryce Young than I do an Andy Dalton.
Yeah. I feel like Andy would have thrown for 300 on you guys for some reason.
Well, he gave Adam Thielen his first 100-yard game since
His first
2018.
deal.
So I don't want to see Adam Thielen cooking us.
That would be hilarious. Sharing him and JJ exchange jerseys at the end of the game.
That probably.
Oh, speaking of JJ, we didn't even talk about it. So if you just want to give me like 30 seconds on it, I know that was an emotional game against the Chargers. But when JJ went down, what was your immediate thoughts?
I texted you. I said, "Oh, JJ's out for the season. We're done."
You
Because
thought it was
the way it
Achilles or
looked
ankle or what?
when they replayed it, it was slow motion, so it looked like he tweaked his knee or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then because it did, I wouldn't have been able to tell from that it was just a cramp in his calf. Like it didn't look like that.
Oh, that's what they said it was. Damn.
Yeah. So and he said that he cramped up pretty bad when he was trying to cut.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God. I mean, we got out of there lucky as hell with that because, bro, you could hear a pin drop in U.S. Bank Stadium when
Oh
that
my
happened,
goodness.
and then he was laying on the ground and everyone's chanting JJ, JJ. Just like, come on, bro, don't do it to us.
Shit. Next game, Miami at 3-0 on the road at Buffalo 2-1. This will probably be the game of the week if it's not Denver against Chicago. I do have, man, this one's tough because Buffalo's a team that's been clicking over these past 2 weeks. I think Miami putting up 70 is obviously a fluke. Their offense will probably go down as number 1 in the league this year. I do see this game being more in the mid-20s, though. I feel like that's how these games kind of go. And if that's going to be the case, I have Buffalo pulling that one out in a close one.
I picked Buffalo in this one. I just think, Buffalo being at home, especially, these two teams could obviously split, but I just see you go from putting up 70 1 week, and then you're gonna try to keep your foot on the gas going into the next week against a team like this, and I just think you come back to earth a little bit. And look, this ain't the Broncos. This is the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, I
And you
just see
rarely ever see duplicate performances like that when some
right,
team puts up
and
50 points.
I just see Buffalo pulling this one out, edging this out, and it's no more than me just kind of speculating because Miami's capable of winning this game. I just think it's going to be able. It's going to come down to who gets that last stop.
Yeah, I agree. Atlanta at 2-1 on the road at Jacksonville at 1-2. I think Jacksonville is going to fall to 1-3 here. Atlanta has a little bit too much firepower on offense, and Jacksonville with their offensive struggles against this Atlanta defense, who right now is ranked in the top 10, top 8 actually. I mean, I don't trust Jacksonville at this point in time. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence and those guys to put it together against a team like this. It's still early in the season, so there's hope isn't lost for Jacksonville. I do think, we'll talk about it later. Indianapolis has a very winnable game to go up 3-1 in the division, so you would like to win this game if you're Jacksonville and not fall behind 2-1 or 2 games potentially. But I do think Atlanta will have enough to pull this game out on the road.
I got Jacksonville. I think I look. This is going to be a big Calvin Ridley game right here.
Interesting.
This is going to be a big Calvin. He's been waiting over a year for this.
So if we're gonna have a big Calvin Ridley game, we're gonna have a big Adam Thielen game.
No, not necessarily.
It's almost inevitable.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not going to work like that, bro. I'm just telling you right now. But it could very well happen, honestly, because look, I don't trust our defense to stop shit. So I'm going to say Adam puts up some serious fantasy points, probably. But
You get 7 for 83.
But I just think the way Jacksonville came out and laid an egg last week, they got a bad taste in their mouth. They're gonna want to flip the script and just say, hey, that was a bad game by us. And look, I trust Doug Peterson more than I trust Arthur Smith. I trust Trevor Lawrence more than I trust Desmond Ridder. Atlanta, I've been saying they got a good defense. They fly around, they hit you. They're gonna bring it to you. But I just don't think, this game, to me, I got Jacksonville winning, but I think it's more of like them being like, okay, let's just flush that bad one down the drain and get back to what we're used to doing here throughout the course of preseason training camp and everything and getting our groove back. Because, look, even though Atlanta's got a solid defense, I think Jacksonville's offense is too talented for them to really do what they've been doing against the lesser teams they've been playing. So this is more so me thinking Jacksonville is a playoff team and Atlanta is not.
Let's make it quick. Denver at Chicago.
See, and I don't remember who I picked because I just okay. All right.
Your worst team in the league versus my worst team in the league. I do have Justin on speed dial. Just so you know.
I picked Denver in this game, which I could completely regret doing because they've burned me so many times. But I just think, look, Justin Field is, even though Russ might be at his tipping point with his career being over, he's still better than Justin Fields right now.
He's still 5 times the quarterback Fields is at this moment.
Justin is just terrible, bro. And they got so much issues within that locker room because of, Justin's comments of the coaches and stuff. And they're just not making a big deal of it. But behind closed doors, there's some animosity between a lot of people. So, and look, you're starting this bad in the season, 3 games, the worst out of any team. You traded for a guy like DJ Moore. This dude's already showing like he don't want to be there. He don't want to play. So that's bad news times 10. So that's my take. I got Denver in this one. It's going to be a freaking ugly, low scoring game.
Yeah, DJ Moore will probably start faking an injury around week 7, week 8. Call it a season. Ask for a trade this offseason to get back to it in 2024. Last week I did say Surtain is my Alabama guy in Denver, and we still need to get him out of there. I do apologize to Jerry Jeudy because we have to get him out of there as well. But I do have Denver winning this game. I might actually watch this one just to laugh a little bit.
Just because of how laughable it will be,
Yeah,
bro.
it's just to
And
laugh a little bit.
and it's funny because you said 2 weeks ago, I think, I'm never picking Denver in any game again.
This just I didn't even look ahead at the schedule for Denver. There's no way I saw this.
Well, I think we all kind of expected Chicago to be a little bit
Way
better
better.
than what this is showing.
Like 5-12, but competitive in 3 more of those games type shit. But this is
Yeah.
just
And
like
that's what I think is like last year when they started finding success was when Justin was damn near running just every play.
every time. Yeah.
And so and
We figured that out.
that's kind of and that's what defenses are taking away is his running ability, and he sucks at passing.
Chicago, I will say, I do love those all orange uniforms. Those are pretty fire. Cincinnati at 2-1 on the road at Tennessee 1-2. I'm going with the upset on this one. No, I'm just playing. I can't even muster up an
Hey, you
argument.
already said it, bro.
I got Cincinnati. I can't even muster up a lie for that.
As much as I thought about it while making these picks, like I can't lie and say I didn't give Tennessee thought to win this game because I think they're capable of it. But
Giving them thought, they just don't have enough on offense.
there's just that's even with a bum leg that Joe Burrow's got, they still got more offense, and I don't trust the Tennessee defense right now.
Not to that
So
extent.
no, so for me, just with how much firepower they still do have in Cincinnati, I have to go Cincinnati. But it won't surprise me or shock me if Tennessee is an upset win this week.
Nah, Cincinnati won 1916 against the Rams. I could see this game being very similar.
Right.
Pittsburgh at 2-1 on the road at Houston 1-2. Houston coming off their first win of the season has gotten better every week. Pittsburgh lost week 1, now has 2 wins in a row, so they are also getting better every week. You could argue. I do think this defense is clicking for both units. The offense is coming together. I do feel like I like C.J. Stroud a little bit more than Kenny Pickett at this point. The weapons for both teams offensively are fairly similar. I did just pick up Tank Dell in my fantasy league. So I have George Pickens, Tank Dell. So I'll be tuned into this one. I do have Pittsburgh in this game, though. I do think Mike Tomlin will beat a team like this who is inferior. I've seen him beat teams that are better than his. So a team like Houston who's young and just not quite ready yet with a young coach, I got Tomlin in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I got Tomlin and Pittsburgh in this one as well, but I do expect a good close head-to-head game here. I just think that it comes down to Tomlin being the more superior coach over D'Amico at this point. But look, CJ's showing some great things out there in Houston, and kudos to him. I hope it's just not a one-off kind of surprise for him, and that he can continue to develop and add on to this type of season he's already having in future seasons. So while I do think this will be a hard-fought, close game, I'm going to go Pittsburgh here.
Tampa Bay at 2-1 on the road at New Orleans, suffering their first loss, now sitting at 2-1 on the season. Like I said, Tampa Bay is just going to kind of be dealing with that kind of game they faced in week 3 against Philadelphia. Kind of got knocked back down to earth, and I think that's the team who we'll see for the rest of the season. I do think New Orleans has a very good defense over there. Offense, solid, not great by any means, and I do think New Orleans will pull this game off, bounce back at home.
This is a tricky one for me just because even with and without Tom Brady, this game is usually always a back and forth like headbanger. So, and for me, look, I'm going with the surprise pick in Tampa Bay here just because they have played pretty well. Even against Philly, they did some good things. So while I think they're still more of the middle of the pack team, I also don't see New Orleans being that much better. So I'm going Tampa Bay here.
This isn't college ball, right? They beat you. They don't have to be 11-1 for your record to be better, your ranking to be better.
No,
They can
I'm
lose.
just saying.
They can lose
right?
out. Okay. I just want to make sure. Los Angeles Rams at 1-2 on the road at Indy 2-1. Like I said earlier, Indy has a very good chance of going 3-1 in this game. I know how much you like the Rams as of late. So our feelings on this game are pretty split, I would assume, because after what I saw last week and what I've been seeing through these first 3 weeks, Indianapolis is better than I thought. Even though they don't have the weapons to name, they're a solid group
Is that because they
offensively and they're
beat
a
you?
solid group defensively. They're being coached very well. Quarterbacks are making plays when they count. They're 2-1. I'm going to take them to go 3-1. Surprisingly,
I mean, you already know my pick. I'm going with Rams here. I just, I might sway the other way if AR was playing, just because, like, I think Minshew is a great backup and he's serviceable the rest of the season if he had to be. I just think you get a lot more firepower with AR in that lineup compared to Minshew. So,
yeah, you're way
um,
more
and he
dynamic.
and he would be a lot more tougher for this Rams defense to handle than Minshew will be. I think with Minshew, you just kind of try to get after. You don't have to blitz much. You just try to get after him with your 3-4 man rush and pin your ears back and force him into some mistakes. So I think the way that the Rams have been playing to start the season, this is definitely a much lesser team that they're facing now than the first 3 weeks. So I'll let them squeak out the W here.
Kyle Hamilton did have 3 sacks on what seemed to be the exact same play off the right side of the Colts offensive line. So I don't know if Rams are watching film. They might want to try and do something like that too this week.
Yeah.
Washington at 2-1 was on the road at Philly 3-0. 2-1 for Washington is crazy. They got humbled a little bit last week at Buffalo. Pretty brutal game, honestly. I think they had over 4 turnovers. Buffalo scored a couple touchdowns defensively, and it was just a massacre overall. This game won't be as bad, but Philly will get their 4th win of the season.
I agree. There's not much for me to say here. I just think Philly's a more talented team. I think this could be a good starting point for Philly to kind of look like themselves. Um, so I go Philly here, but I can't disregard the Washington defense. They are solid, and I think they can give Jalen and that group some fits over the course of the game. But
No
at the end of the
question.
day, Philly is just too much to handle.
We'll move on to the afternoon games where we have the Las Vegas Raiders at 1-2 on the road at the Los Angeles Chargers at 1-2. Chargers obviously getting their first win of the season last year. So far, been one of the more disappointing teams on the season, in my opinion. I do think they will go 2-2, 500, and maybe they will start to see the light at the end of the tunnel after this game against the Raiders.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here, I got the Chargers winning, but the biggest thing here is just, can we just have a clean game from the coach, please? Just this
Outside of
is
the 0-3 teams and the 1-2 teams, I mean, they are a 1-2 team, but he is by far out of the 1-2 teams the worst coach. 0-3, I think he's the worst coach out of them too. I mean, this is if you put a competent coach with this unit, who knows? I mean, I know they've had health issues over the past couple of years, but who knows?
this is gonna be a game though. You need to do what you did last game and just feed the hell out of Keenan Allen as much as he can handle without getting hurt.
Yeah, why not? New England at 1-2 on the road at Dallas 2-1. Now we did poke a little fun at Dallas and that defense not being as dominant as it has been over the first 2 weeks against Arizona. They lost Trey Diggs to an ACL injury before that game, so that is something that we should mention. So it's going to be a lot on Micah Parsons to carry that load. That was one of the better 1-2 duos in the league. Now it's just a one-man show over there for the most part, although those pieces are still solid around him defensively, but no other superstar to shoulder the load with him. We have New England getting their first win of the year last week against New York Jets. Excuse me. I told you Bill Belichick was not going to be losing to any kind of guys like Zach Wilson anytime soon. This is not Zach Wilson. It's Dak Wilson, and I have the New England Patriots 2-2.
Wow, that's an upset right there.
Yes, it is.
I gotta go Dallas here just because I think Dallas is one of the best home teams in the NFL. And look, I just come on,
So we
I
have
don't
a
know, man.
Calvin Ridley revenge game. We have an Adam Thielen revenge game.
This is gonna be another wrecking ball for Michael Parsons. He's gonna get at least 2 sacks against Mac
I can see
Jones.
that happening.
I just don't think Mac Jones is that good, and
Oh, he's not.
so man, I don't trust him. Even though I don't trust Dak, I mean, I definitely trust Dak more than Mac Jones. And I just think overall, you got much more firepower on both sides of the ball in Dallas than you do on either side of the ball in New England. So New
Fair.
England's going to have to play a really straight up A+ game to come out with this upset. But so give me Dallas in this one.
Fair. Zeke Elliott revenge game.
What, for all the 5 snaps?
Hey, we'll take it. 5 snaps, 2 carries, 2 yards. We'll take it. Arizona at 1-2 on the road at San Fran 3-0. Let's do it. Sunday Night Football. Kansas City 2-1 on the road. New York Jets 1-2. This is one of those games. So in the beginning of the season, for me, it's not about how many points you're scoring. It's about what your scheme looks like, how everybody plays in it, all that type of shit. Kansas City is going to win this game, but playing against a defense like this, that's what I'm more concerned about, and that's what I'll be watching, is how your offense plays against an elite unit like New York Jets.
Yeah, but the thing is, even with how elite they are, they're still 1-2. They haven't been doing shit on that defensive side, for that's. I mean, yeah, you hold New England to 15 points, but if you're that elite, 15 points is still a little rich for my blood against a Mac Jones led offense. So sorry, but I think this is going to be another trouncing that the Chiefs come away with. Look, this New York Jets locker room and inside that building it's blowing up in smoke really quick due to the Zach Wilson deal. And I don't think, especially the defensive side of the ball, they have no trust in this coaching staff. They have no trust in the offense. I don't even think they really want to go out there and play because they're missing their big dog, Aaron Rodgers. They know that they can't move the ball on offense. They can't put up points like A-Rod would be able to do with that offense. So they're it's almost sad to say that they're almost starting to check out this early, but that's
Yeah,
how I feel.
that's how it looks too. That's how it sounds. That's how it feels. So it is sad to say because that team has Super Bowl aspirations, at least AFC Championship aspirations, and now even after the Rodgers injury, like we've been talking about, 10 wins, 11 wins, okay, but at this point, 5 wins,
Right.
it's looking ugly. Zach Wilson is bad. They just
Yeah.
got Trevor Siemian today. He might be inserted in there by week 5, week 6, but at that point, your season might even be over. So tough. That team is cursed, like you said.
Who would you rather have with this team, Zach Wilson or Justin Fields?
Justin. Justin, probably.
Yeah, me
'Cause he
too.
can
But
always run.
that's the
Neither of
thing.
them
But
can
that's all he
pass.
can do.
They might as well both play left-handed.
I
But
saw someone. I saw someone mock a trade up between the Jets and the Bears, like offering Zach Wilson for
that's what it
Justin Fields.
was. Nah, Justin does not need that New York pressure, but Zach needs to get out of there. He needs to go to a place like Chicago, honestly.
Yeah,
Our last game, Monday Night Football, Seattle 2-1 on the road at the Giants 1-2. I think after that slow start to the season, Seattle will win their 3rd game of the year.
I agree. I just think, look, they're a better team than the Giants, and the Giants. Look, I'll never trust them as long as Daniel Jones is the quarterback. There's nothing he can do for me that will change my mind. He is who he is.
Simple.
I think he is. I know he signed that contract or whatever, but look, he's no better than Carson Wentz in my opinion.
I think Carson Wentz gets a bad rap, so I could see that. Because people say Jones is what, 15, 16?
But see, that's the thing is, like,
in the
here's
league?
my thing. Why don't the Jets go out and grab a guy like Carson Wentz?
That's what I said when he got hurt. Or trade for Jameis Winston. What are we doing grabbing Trevor Siemian? That is such a lateral move.
And that's what I mean. That's why the players are so irate with this front office and coaching staff, is because you got serviceable, more than serviceable quarterbacks out there that you can go out and grab, whether it be a trade for a Jameis, whether it be signing Carson Wentz off the street. You're still getting much more. Uh, it raises your ceiling that much more on offense, and you got much more wiggle room on offense to have guys like those compared to Zach Wilson, who just he's scared, bro. The pressure he's been has on his shoulders out there because of what's gone on the previous years, and now Aaron Rodgers goes down, and now he's thrown into the fire again. Look, Zach Wilson wasn't prepared to take on a starting role this year. He thought Aaron Rodgers was going to come in, he's going to be able to just chill it all season, relax, learn from him, and just take a damn near whole year vacation. And his world was turned upside down that first game. And so he's the same Zach Wilson as before because he didn't get that year-long tutelage from Aaron Rodgers. And you can't replace that because week to week, you go back in after every game, watch film. Rodgers is helping you out, break it down, helping you read the field, read these defenses, and he's not getting that. So I think the hope for Zach Wilson's future is kind of out the window. I mean, granted, I would still take him as a backup for, hoping he only has to play 1 or 2 games at most. But that's as best as he's going to be in this league, is probably a backup quarterback.
Jeez, if you're only playing 1 or 2 games at most, then I'll just grab a fucking long snapper at that point or something. That doesn't help me at all.
Look. That's why most of these teams in the NFL they sign certain people for quarter. Like, look, the Vikings having Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall as their backups. You're expecting them never to play. And that's what I mean, Zach Wilson is just being a serviceable backup in that sense, where you can go in and not be expected to play, but if you need 1 or 2 games from him, you can get that.
1 or 2 games, yes, maybe. I'm off of that guy.
No, I'm not saying I'm on him at all, but I'm just saying that's kind of what you see with these high-profile first-round quarterbacks is if they don't pan out, they end up being career-long backups, and that's what he's going to be.
For sure, yeah.
And if it's not that, well, then we'll see him in the XFL and USFL.
Unless he gets that lucky Baker Mayfield deal.
Right.
Strikes lightning at the end of the season and signs a deal in the offseason. But at that point, I mean, what are the odds, But yeah, Seattle should win this game against the Giants easily. I know Saquon, after the long week, Giants played last Thursday. He has hopes to get back from that high ankle sprain injury, but even if he does,
it doesn't matter.
An injured Saquon and a healthy Kenneth Walker pretty much cancel each other out. So
yeah, but look, this Giants defense has taken a major step back.
It has, and that's been very disappointing.
It's just not looking good. And I mean, look, you want to talk about Spider-Man meme? This
yeah,
Giants,
New York. That's almost too perfect.
Like it is bad, bro. And especially with the pieces you can. And then the thing is, I think his whole career, Darren Waller's been way overhyped, obviously. But to bring him in as one of your top pass catchers, and
you're number 1,
hardly can get him the ball, it doesn't bode well for your season-long outlook.
No. What can you say? It's just a disappointment all around. You paid Daniel Jones. I don't know how you got bamboozled into that nonsense, but you did it. I mean, Is New York? Something's in that water out there. I don't know what's happening, man.
I don't know, man.
It's bad this year. But that's it for me on week 4. You got anything else?
No, that's it for me, bro.
All right, man. Until next time.
Sounds good.